Okay. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We appreciate you being here. I'm here. I'm Nicole Young-Potvin. I'm here on behalf of the Hub. We're going to talk today about the secrets of writing a business plan. I'm not sure. Let's see. I need to just be able to see there it is. See my screen a little bit here. Okay. So I'm not sure you can see me on the Zoom call, but either way, you can see the screen. So we're going to go ahead and just get started here. We are here because of these fine organizations. You can see the U.S. Small Business Administration, and we actually have Jared from the SBA here in the room with us. We're excited to have him. The MEDC, Grand Valley State University hosts our SBDC. And then we've got a variety of local universities that support the rest of our hub. We are statewide. You can see our different locations through the state. And here in the Upper Peninsula, we are hosted by Michigan Technological University. So we are, in a way, proud Huskies. All right. So the first thing we're going to do is just talk about having the right tools. If you're going to succeed in business, you want the right tools. So first thing you need is your SBDC consultant. So if you don't have one, you want to get one so that you can avoid a lot of mistakes along the way. We've also got a tool called Guide to Starting a Business, and I am going to put that in the Zoom bar so that you can download that. We also have a business plan template that comes directly out of that guide that we will give you the link for as well. And that is just a Word document that you can fill out, and you'll be able to follow along the guide and then write it right into that guide or into the document. When you're working with the SBDC, we're going to give you access to LivePlan, and that is some fabulous software that gives you the ability to do your plan digitally, and the financial piece is awesome because it does the calculations for you. You can come up with a profit and loss sheet. You can see your cash flow over a 3-year period. It's a pretty great tool. In addition, when you're working with the SBDC and the Hub, you get access to research tools. And I know we've got like Vertical IQ and A to Z database. And I'm trying to think of the one that the Hub has. Starts with P. And then we also have access to other financial tools to help you get started. So let's go ahead. First thing I'm going to do is, well, I'm going to get that in there afterwards. I've got the links to the tools. I'm going to put them in our group chat before we hang up today, just so you guys, if there's anyone online that wants to download those, you can. So let's get over to here and keep moving. So let's talk about what are the components in a business plan. First of all, the purpose for the business plan is to reduce risk. We want to take this idea that we have, and we want to make sure that it's successful. And one way we can do that is by just kind of looking down the road, seeing what our risk points are, and then trying to eliminate or decrease those. And that's going to give us a better probability of success. The other thing with a business plan is if you're looking for lending, it is required by most bankers. We actually, one of our biggest referral sources is bankers. So they send people our way to polish up those business plans and get their idea really firmed up on paper. Again, that's going to help them get around a lot of obstacles, roadblocks, and potential failure. And in this business plan, we're going to talk about your business. What is the purpose of it? What are your goals? What structure is your business going to have? And then we're going to identify some actions that you can take to build your business. So let's look at some of the key components. This is just looking at different pieces in the business plan. The last thing that is written is that executive summary. So you write everything first and then you kind of summarize it so that the bankers don't have to take forever trying to understand your idea. They can have an idea going right in, and then you lay out all the details. Those include the items include business description, and you want to be fairly complete on this business description. Maybe you've got a summary of it in the executive summary, but you do want to go into some great detail for that business description so that we have some understanding of exactly what it is you're doing. We want to look at marketing analysis. That needs to be in there. When I say not marketing analysis, market analysis. So you want to be able to show that there's a market for what you have. The business plan starts out with what is the problem. So you got to know what that problem is, and then what is the solution, and then you got to show that there is a market for that solution. And then we also want to go into marketing and sales and what is involved in that. What is your way of marketing and selling your product? Is it just digital, or if you're in a service business, sometimes it's one-on-one connections, word of mouth, kind of sometimes. What do you do in the old days? You walk the pavement, going door to door and seeing what businesses downtown need your services. Management and operations, you need to be pretty thorough about who's involved in your business. If it's just you need to show why you're qualified to do this business. You should include your resume. If you've got a background in what your business is going to be doing, make sure the bankers understand that you are qualified. And then also financials. You need to show not only that you can that this business can sustain itself, but that it can also sustain you. So you're going to have to share your personal financials, and you're going to have to include all your business financials, expenses, your projections. Those will all be in here, and we'll be going into those as well in some more detail. And then the appendix, that's going to be like throwing on your resume at the end, maybe some additional charts to help the bankers understand, or the people reading it understand what's going on. A lot of templates out there. I'm going to give you just a Word document one to take home. We also have the live plan, and to me, the live plan is such a valuable tool. It has an AI component that really just takes the hardship out of writing it. You can just put down a few sentences. Here's my business idea. This is the problem. This is the problem in my area. We don't have any tire stores in our area. People have to drive an hour to get a set of tires. And then what is the solution? We're going to open a tire store right here in our location, and we're going to serve this area of this group of people, whether it's 3 towns, 4 towns, an entire county. We're going to talk about that market, and then we're going to go into more detail about that market. Why do we feel like the area that we're describing can sustain our business? So the business description, if we start getting into some more details, this is going to be the meat and potatoes. And these are the things that you need to work out so that you can convey your ideas to your lending source. This is Lance's favorite. Lance is one of my coworkers, and his favorite saying is the devil is in the details. And what he means by that is that if you don't do a detailed business plan, a lot of things are going to crop up to stall you later. So the more detailed your business plan, the more opportunities you have to kind of face the devil on paper before you have to face the devil in reality in your business. So get all those details out, really think through, do a lot of research, talk with other business owners who are in your line of business. If you're not a competitor with them in your region, they're probably happy to talk to you. Talk to customers, potential customers, like what are they looking for in a business? Get all that on paper in your plan. All of this can be found in that guide to starting a business that the SBDC provides, and I will be giving you a link to that. So that's all in Chapter 2. Again, getting into more details, you want to say what hours you're going to be open. A lot of times people say, I'm going to have a restaurant. And they can't decide, well, do I want to be open on a Monday, Tuesday, or don't I? But you have to make these decisions before you can come up with your revenue. Because if you're not open on Monday and Tuesday, that's 2 days of the week that you have no income. So you have to be able to show that you can make it by being closed those 2 days. So you have to understand all this stuff ahead of time instead of trying it out in real life. Just figure it out on paper first. Figuring out your production processes and your production capabilities. If you're going to be in manufacturing, what are your processes? Figure it out now before you have to make a bunch of expensive errors in real life. Have that timeline of when you're going to be offering your services and products. So we want to see that time arch. Here's when we're going to start this and we're going to get this good, and then we're going to add this product, and then we're going to start this service. Make sure you cover any licenses that might be required. So if you're going to be selling plants, you can sell some plants without a license, but you can't sell every plant without a license. So understand what licenses are required and make sure you have the correct one for your business. Products and services. Go into detail about what you're going to be selling, and you should do your research even into different brands and suppliers. It can be difficult to have a wholesaler talk to you before you are an actual business, but there are ways to get that communication, understand the pricing, understand how these things are going to be getting to you, your products are going to be getting to you, what are the shipping fees? All of that can be determined ahead of time so that it can be included in your plan. There's not going to be any surprises later that can tank your business. So describing all your products and services, if you've got like 5 things you're going to be offering, go into each one in detail. Talk about how each one of them works with each other, how they all combine to make this income stream. And then talk about the features and the benefits of your product and service. If you're making your own product, you're going to also want to cover like your quality control. Why would people buy your product over someone else's product? Really get into the competition piece of it as well. If you're buying a building, you want to make sure that your location is a good one, right? That's the old location saying. And a lot of things there's a lot to consider, right? Zoning, parking, all of these items here matter when you're choosing a building. You don't want to start in a building that's going to be too small right off the bat. You don't want to start in a building that's going to be too big right off the bat. You don't want to be paying extra for more space and then you're not going to need it for 2 years. So this is all important details to kind of figure out. A lot of times we run into folks who fall in love with a building and then they're like, what can I put in that building? And that can be a dangerous position. A lot of times people buy it. They just buy it. And that can be a tough spot for us to come in and now work with this client that's, got a big rent, or they bought the building, so they've got, a mortgage and all these things. And they're like, I need to make money fast. And it doesn't always work fast. So you have to, kind of have the business planned and ready to roll before you take that dive into your building. You're going to want to show the bankers floor plans. You want to show them the processes. We had one client that wanted to do like a market, and they realized that they couldn't do a market in the building they had because it was there was nowhere for a truck to pull up and unload. So that building that they purchased was just not going to work for anything that required uh, big deliveries. So keep that in mind when you're, planning. All right. So the next thing you want to do is research, right? So you've got this great idea, you've gone through all the details, you've got it all down. But again, you have to convince the bankers that your idea is going to work. And even if you don't have a banker, right? What if you're funding this business all on your own? It's still a great idea because it's your money. It's still a great idea to know that business is going to work. What are going to be the hurdles you're going to face? So do some primary research. Again, talk to people. You can do surveys. You can do a Facebook, ask people on Facebook. Do focus groups where you just get some friends over and say, I'm thinking about doing this. Let's talk through it. What would you be looking for in a business like that? Definitely shop the competition. And I would shop them online and I would shop them in the store and understand what they have going on and then be able to explain why your business is needed. If that guy's already doing it, why does anyone need your business? And if you're going to be opening your business, what makes you different from that competition? You also want to talk to other businesses. We talked about that already. And then you can also buy research. But first, talk to your hub people, talk to your SBDC consultant, because a lot of the research that we have access to is really awesome and it's entirely free through us. And then understanding your industry. So you want to know where your industry trends are headed. Boy, if you were in the VCR industry back in the 80s, that was a great time. I remember, boy, we'd buy 6, 7, 8, VCRs, bring them home, watch them, bring them back to the store. Well, it wasn't too much longer where everything switched to the disc, and then all of a sudden everything was streaming and all the video stores shut down. So you want to be able to stay on top of your industry. Make sure your industry is not going the wrong direction. You want to be in an industry that's going to show some growth. And there is a lot of research out there that talks about different industries and where they're headed. And then be always vigilant to what's happening in your industry because things can change on a dime. When we look at AI coming out and how much that has changed so many companies and things that are going on in just 2 years. Literally, it's only been around for like 2 years, I think. So online research, here's some sources that you can tap into. Michigan e-library, this is great. And if you're looking for like a database of potential clients, you can go to A to Z database, entirely free. You can narrow right down to particular industry. You can get contact names, phone numbers. There's even a way to get email addresses so that you could put together a list or contact everyone one-on-one for your different business. Next, you're going to want to create that marketing and sales plan. How are you going to let people know about your business? How are you going to make them aware of your business? How are you going to make them consider you as a valid choice among the competition? Then how are you going to get them to actually make that buy? That's a whole process. And there's different pieces to each one. We do a lot of training on marketing. Through the SBDC. A lot of it's online. You can always go to sbdc.org. I shouldn't say that. It's michigansbdc.org. You can see it on the screen on the bottom there. And you can register for all our different trainings. There's many different trainings on marketing, especially. Have a one-liner so that the banker understands what is that thing that's setting you out from the competition. So in this particular coffee shop, we love coffee, but we love community and people more. So they're going to be more a community coffee shop where, you bring your kids, bring your neighbors, everybody gather. It's going to be a different type of a coffee shop, not the solo coffee. It's a group coffee. Make sure you understand your market segments, your target markets, and know who your best first customers are. So we call that the low-hanging fruit in marketing. And not everybody is your customer. We a lot of times will ask people who is going to buy your product. Well, everyone. And that's not really true. Not everyone is going to buy your product. So you have to understand, like, who are those people most inclined to buy it? And we can help you figure that out. But you should have a pretty good idea of what that customer looks like. And so here's some things to think about. So who's your target market? Are you looking for the take and bake crowd? Are you catering to like a vegan crowd? Maybe the gluten-free folks? Maybe you are just going to go for the deep dish, or maybe you're going to go for that gourmet wood-fired. It's all different audiences. So understand what your product is and then who those audiences are for it. All right, competition. So you've got some competition. You've got your direct competition. So they might be located, do the same thing you're doing, might be located in your town or in your region. But you've got indirect competition too, because like for a grocery store, the indirect competition might be the farmer's market. So being able to understand that. Here's some things you're going to have to understand about marketing and sales, how to reach that target market, having some sales goals, knowing like what do you have to hit in order to pay all your bills, maybe some break-even points for that, having a sales plan. And again, this is all in our guide to starting a small business. It goes into great detail on every one of these topics, which we're not going to cover in detail today. But it's in the book, and we do have a lot of trainings on all of them. Management and operations. So this again, identify that management team. If you're the only one on the management team, you should also list your accountant. You should list your attorney. You should list your SBDC consultant. You want to put together a team of people that are going to be kind of helping you out with your business. Another thing, this is again where your qualifications matter. If you're going to become an auto mechanic, what's your background in mechanics? Have you ever done it before? You know, have you always been doing it? So being able to convey that. And then you should have an HR plan. So if you do plan to hire employees, you should have that human resources plan. You might even want to have like some job descriptions included with your business plan. You might even want to have like an employee manual included. Thankfully, with HR or with AI and good consulting, we can get a lot of these tools ahead of time without too much effort. And then have some milestones. Do you need to do research and development? Are you going to have to keep innovating? And I guess the answer is yes to everyone. You will need to keep innovating, whether it's tech or just coming up with a new muffin for your coffee shop. You'll have to stay fresh. So here's some sample business templates. These are included in the guidebook. Again, I got that secret number 4 right over top of Live Plan. That is definitely something we want to emphasize, that you have free access to Live Plan through the Michigan SBDC. That is going to give you a huge advantage with its AI component. It's automatically calculating financial section, give you those things like the profit and loss, the cash flow. Those are the sheets that the bankers are looking for that don't come naturally just off of a spreadsheet in Excel. You've got to create them. So financials are the big deal. You have to not only show the story, right, with the numbers, but you have to have a narrative. So like one thing we talk about when we're working, say, with a restaurant client, is you're going to say, I'm going to make $3,000 in revenue this month. Okay, well, where's that $3,000 coming from? How are you generating that? Well, it's because I'm open Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I've got on Wednesday, we've got 25 customers coming through the door. Thursdays, we're going to have 35. Friday, we're going to have 55. Saturday is 65. And then Sunday, we're back down to maybe 45 for brunch. So being able to show that, and then not only that, but have the customer. So you've got like one of those customers on average is going to be spending $20. So now you can say, okay, I have 20 customers coming in, or 25 customers coming in on Wednesdays. Each of them are spending $20. Now we've got a revenue. And now we can also take the costs out. We know that for restaurant food, it's typically about 32% cost, and you can work with your consultant on that. But now you can show what your actual profit is there, or your net on that. And that net is going to have to pay your employees and your building and everything else. So by the time we get it all on paper, we should have some good answers for, is this business viable? And to me, I always think they should start with the financial section first, because like skip right to the numbers. If it's not viable, you don't want to spend a lot of time building out a narrative. And then here's that financial narrative. And again, this is a very simplistic cash flow chart, but it's quite a bit more sophisticated using the live plan. If you have a problem like understanding some of that, then definitely your consultant can help you work out some of that. COGS stands for cost of goods sold. This obviously has some consignment involved. So there's that margin. That's the actual, what's left. They had $5,000 to begin with. So at the end of that month, they've got that $96.98 going into the next month. If you don't measure it, you can't manage it. So bookkeeping. So not only we're talking financial projections here, but when you are in business, you need to do your bookkeeping. This is a good start, right? You're going to understand a little bit. We get right down into the estimated sales per day. Estimated, I don't know there it is. Yeah, so getting into, here's your cost of goods. So this is just a little more detailed, but it's like right across the top. It's broken down into by the hour. So this is a great chart that's going to convey a lot of information to the banker who's asking you, where did these numbers come from? Here it is. This is where they came from. And that will help them say, yeah, this makes sense, or wow, I think you need to, ratchet it back a little bit. I know our area, and you're not going to have 25 people coming through your door on a Tuesday in March. So conservative numbers are also important. Don't make it look like you're going to become a millionaire after the first year. You definitely want to show, it's going to probably be a very break-even business for a minute till you get established. And here's basic bookkeeping. Again, going into you've got your income. There's your cost of goods and your expenses. Bookkeeping systems, QuickBooks, Wave accounting, those are all really important for making sure you understand right where your business is at any moment. Obviously, you're not using them while you're building your business plan, but all these charts are available just to kind of show you some of the spreadsheets that are out there. Again, highly recommend using that live plan because it takes all the headache out of it, a lot of AI. And then your final touches. Once you get that business plan printed out, you want to add that executive summary, which just gives, that touch, that overview. So the banker kind of understands like what's going on here, or you understand what's going on here, and then dig deep into the details. Appendix with potentially your resume, with any of these financial sheets. Throw a cover page on there. Throw pictures on there. I think we've got another one. Here's our final touches. Make sure, if you're trying to buy a building, throw some pictures on there. Help the banker understand like which building is it. Put a map. Show here's why we wanted to put it here, because the traffic flow on US 2 in Iron Mountain is pretty fabulous right at that spot. So next steps are going to be, of course, look at the guide, you can check that outline that I'm going to provide. Um, it's in the guide, but it's not a Word document. You can always, it's a PDF. What I'm going to give you, you can always copy and paste it into a Word document, which is what I did for you. So same thing. We're going to look over that simple business plan template that's in there. Get your market research together. Get in touch with your SBDC if you don't have someone, or your hub consultant who can get you in touch with all the right folks to get your business started. We're here for you. We're excited. We love helping businesses get going. And here's my contact information if you need to reach out. You can also register for services at michigansbdc.org. Again, our proud benefit, or what do you call that? The SBA is there to support us, and we're really grateful for that. So thank you very much. If there's any questions, please get in touch with us here, and we'll take care of those for you. All right, I'm going to stop recording.